Rousey so stoked for this. So listen, the much-awaited Ronda Rousey return is finally here. Tonight, she returns to the octagon 13 months after suffering her first MMA defeat, which was to Holly Holm. As many of you remember, who will be the victor? As you guys just saw in the EA Sports simulation, they have Rousey beating Amanda Nunes via armbar submission. And we welcome in our MMA analyst, Chael Sonnen. What's going on, Chael?
Happy New Year! Happy New Year, everybody.
Chael, how do you see this playing out?
I have so many thoughts on this. Look, there's more questions than there are answers. Ronda Rousey, contrary to popular belief, does not need to be better tonight than she was the night she lost her championship. When she lost to Holly Holm, she had matchup problems. Stylistically, that was a nightmare. It was also a bit of a bad night for her. She had some jet lag. She was in a different country. If Ronda can be as good as she was the night she lost, with this matchup against Amanda, she should leave with the championship. But here's the question, guys. Can you stay as good or get better at something by not doing it? As a person coming off of retirement, I can tell you firsthand, no. There is such a thing as ring rest. There is such a thing as slowing down. I think it's going to affect Ronda. The question is how much.
You and I were together when she lost in Australia 13 months ago, right here in the next building over. And we were shocked, but you weren't. Yeah. You said, I saw this coming. She didn't have a good night. And then a month later, you and I were together as Conor McGregor won the title for the first time against Joe Dealda. Then we were together in March when Conor McGregor lost. Then we were together when Conor McGregor won again in August. My whole point is this, that Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor are the two faces of the UFC. How they have both handled losses are so completely different, and I appreciate what Conor McGregor has done. What Ronda Rousey has not done, to your point, has got back into the octagon. I have never seen a professional athlete, male or female, where their self-worth is so completely tied to their professional success. Here's what I believe we're going to see tonight. And Chael and I will be on SportsCenter post-fight, breaking it all down. I believe we're going to be talking about Amanda Nunes knocking her out. I believe we're going to be talking about Ronda Rousey retiring immediately after the fight. I don't think that it's any coincidence she hasn't spoken this entire fight camp. Dana White has been making excuses for her, covering for her, and I don't think she wanted to fight in the first place. But I believe she couldn't have walked away coming off that loss and needed to get back in one more time.
You think she's done?
I think she's done.
And what do you think happens tonight, Chael?
That's very hard to disagree with what Coach just said. That's a very fair analysis. Look, the problem with Ronda, the question is psychological, and she's the one that put that question in our mind. She talked about some very dark things, and she did mark out for her own gimmick. I had no idea she's a personal friend. I had no idea she was so attached to her career and what the media said about her.
Let me ask you a question. If this fight took place and we were only sitting here a year ago and analyzing the styles, as you talked about earlier, if Ronda could get her to the ground, perhaps, get her in that armbar she's famous for, if we were only analyzing it on that front, how would this fight turn out a year ago?
Here's the thing is we didn't know a lot about Amanda back then. The media had made Ronda what she was. Her skills are her skills. They are not great. As a competitor, she is fantastic. She had an amateur background, went all the way to the Olympic Games for this country twice, brought home a medal. As a competitor, she's gritty. She knows when to get dirty. She knows when to get tough. As far as her skills go, they're so-so, and that's the truth that the media never tells you. Yes.
Really? Her skills are so-so. Five submission wins in the first minute of a fight?
Yeah, with an armbar. Now, again, you want to look at statistically, do armbars work? No. Are men being caught in armbars? Are other women getting armbars? No, they're not. It's a division that is forming. She won those 5 fights. I would challenge you right now, and you're damn good at your job. Name one person she beat.
It's a good question.
That's exactly
It's a forming division, though, and they're getting a lot better. That's my point.
And I know, but I'm only questioning you, not disagreeing with you, because ultimately this is a psychological analysis. The reason I asked about what it would be a year ago is because to reduce it to the styles, to take the psychology out of it. I debate, I'm an entrepreneur, I've done things in business. And one of the guys I've read a lot about is a guy named Al Newhart. He started USA Today back when innovating newspapers was a thing to do in the 1980s. Al Newhart said he wished for all of his children one great failure before the age of 30. Why? Because before the age of 30, you have a better chance of coming back from failure, for being resilient. I'm afraid that Ronda Rousey experienced failure. I know how old is Ronda Rousey? She's not quite 30, right?
That's right, 29.
Yeah.
She experienced failure before the age of 30, but only after insurmountable, unheralded success. Heralded success to such an extent she wasn't familiar with the concept of failure. So how does she come back from that? Right now, I believe she's not worried about it. Right now, I would imagine she doesn't have many doubts. But once she gets in the ring, and it's not really about the punch, once she gets hit, once she experiences the tiniest bit of failure, does that snowball, does that avalanche. It's not about being hit. It's about experiencing failure and letting it either compound or pushing it back down.
But Will, Chael and I have sat together and discussed this, and I've learned so much from working with Chael the last year and a half. And even though what you said might be true, that maybe she doesn't have doubts, we've seen so many fighters that talk the talk and they walk the walk to try and mask what's really going on. But what's really going on is she has failed to communicate with everybody except for Ramona Shelburne. Why? I don't think she wants to be exposed, and she's protecting herself. And, Chael, I believe that if she gets beaten tonight, which I think that she will, that she's protected herself to the point where maybe she can move on. But I don't know if she can professionally get back to that level, which we all believe she should have been at in movies, marketing and stuff. To me, that's her fault, not anybody else's.
Yeah, there was a major domino effect, guys. When she lost that fight, she was scheduled, just by example, to play the bouncer in a remake of Roadhouse. Of course, that fell down, but the media had created her into something. Guys, to go back 14 months, Will, to your point, they were talking about Ronda could beat Floyd Mayweather. I mean, there was a level of ridiculousness done by the media that put her in a pedestal. What I didn't know is that she fell for it. Now, Max Kellerman will talk about this a lot. He will say, whenever a fighter is knocked out, when they return, they're not the same. Now, that's not because physically they've lost their skills. It's because mentally they're worried about stepping into the fire. They're having memory lapses of what had happened before. They're worried about catching that one more shot. We're going to know right off the bat, within 30 seconds in this contest, Ronda's either going to come across the ring, step into that fire, into that zone where she can be hit and clinch and try to get this to the ground, which where her judo skill set will come in, or she's not. But 30 seconds in, we're going to know if the Max Kellerman disease that he talks about a lot that fighters have is taking hold on Ronda.
I want to know this, because this is why I think Conor McGregor has surprised all of us and why he is that superstar caliber of fighter. When he lost to Nate Diaz, he lost a little swagger. But what he did was come back and sit in front of the media, and what did he say to us? I know what I did wrong, and I'm fixing it. And he spent $300,000 on his training camp to fix what he did wrong. Does Ronda Rousey know what she did wrong? Does Ronda Rousey's camp know what she did wrong to lose? I don't know if that's the case, because we don't know anything about her camp, anything about her. All we see is this video that she allowed to be shot for the promotional video. That's all we know. I don't know.
Chael, you talk about her skills being so-so, but just my assumption, and granted it's from a distance, is if this goes to the ground, that's where her skills are, and this favors her. If it stays up on the feet, like the Holly Holm fight, it favors Amanda. Is that what we should be watching for?
Oh, I think that's right. Ronda does not want to stand with Amanda, and Amanda does not want to go to the ground with Ronda.
So in 30 seconds, like you said, the first 30 seconds of that fight, we'll see if Ronda will get in there and take it straight through the punches to get it down.
Particularly with the psychological aspect, yes, we're going to know right out of the gate.
Fans should know also the difference between Holly Holm shocking the world and Amanda Nunes is that we need to respect what Amanda Nunes is. She is nasty, she is bad, she can throw punches, and she's a legit champion.
That's a fact. She's not getting enough attention.
She's a legit champion, but would it not be fair to say that Ronda is basically going up against herself tonight when you talk about all the psychology of what this
in
fight
some
is
way,
about?
Sure, Amanda was jealous. She was looking up to Ronda, but she came in and she climbed the mountain. Amanda is the girl who beat the girl who beat the girl. Now, MMA math never works, but that is the math, and it's pretty simple, guys. Amanda is on top, and Ronda's trying to catch her this time.
All right, Chael, thank you so much for your time tonight, and we'll be watching you guys as you wrap up UFC 207. All right, on our last...
I think right now, I think we have the best of both worlds. I don't think there's anything wrong with ending your season with a victory. And if we just go to a total playoff, then there's only one team happy. And then the other thing is now the games don't mean as much. I think that we have the right balance. I think it's great.
So that was Dabo Swinney as he gets ready to face Ohio State in the college football playoff, saying he doesn't necessarily think or believe the 14 playoff should be expanded. And guys, there's been a lot of discussion about expanding the field to maybe 8, potentially even 16 teams. So is today's current format the right formula? Will?
No, I don't think it is the right formula. I think the answer for college football's ills, to the extent that there are, by the way, but the way to improve what is already a great game is a 16-team playoff. A 16-team playoff would do 4 things for you. I'm going to give you 4 things that would be very important that we would get accomplished with 16 teams. Number 1, the adage that truly anyone can win the national championship would mean something if we had a 16-team playoff. All 10 conference champions would get in. We would have a situation where Western Michigan, undefeated Western Michigan, could go and put their quality, their resume, their play to the test against those that we all assume is the best in the nation, and probably properly assume. Alabama versus Western Michigan. Give them a shot. It would truly be you had the chance to win the national championship this year. Right now, Western Michigan had no chance. The only thing they had a chance to do was go undefeated and then have a good bar argument. Number 2, it would get in all these teams that we know could make noise in the playoffs, but they're boxed out. It's Michigan. It's USC. Nobody wants to see those teams right now. It would give those teams a shot to come in, make noise, create upsets, and if in fact they are the best team in the country, to win that national championship. By the way, it would make games like Florida State, Michigan, Auburn, OU, and Penn State, USC. How much fun would those be if those were first-round matchups in a 16-team playoff? That's my 3rd reason, by the way. Just be so much fun. 16-team playoffs, don't discount fun. Don't hate on fun. Fun's good. Embrace fun. And number 4, for the last and most serious reason, this would correct, to a large extent, the problem we're having right now, the debate we're having about these great college football players walking out too early, not playing in meaningless bowl games because they want to get ready for the NFL. You got 16 teams involved. You've got that many more great players playing meaningful games at the end of the season. They won't walk for the NFL. 16 teams gives you these 4 things.
First of all, my world starts with fun. I always say if I start with fun, I can only go up from there.
That's what I think of when I think of you.
I'm going to start with Dabo Swinney's sound that we heard, first of all, where he said, some of these games wouldn't mean anything. Last time I checked, home games mean a lot. A lot, especially in college football. When you play a home game, there's a reason why a Division I team pays another team $1 million or $800,000 to come, because home games matter. If you have an 8-team playoff, 16 too much. And you hear the argument all the time. Well,
why? Why too much?
Did I interrupt you?
I'm sorry. I was so entranced by your argument, the question came naturally.
You're not the only one. With 8 teams, you've got a legitimate 8 teams that can win a national championship. The reason you don't have 16, and you say it's almost like you're saying let's have some exhibition games, because as good as Western Michigan is, they're not beating an Alabama. You don't have the 14th or 15th ranked team in America that's good enough to win a national championship. But I believe you can always go 8 deep. I don't like the argument that those games during the regular season won't matter. Here's what I would do. Because I do agree that asking a fan base to travel to 3 games is too much. It's very, very expensive to travel to 3 games. What I would do is have 8 teams. The top 4 seeds get a home game against the 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds. Then you're down to 4. Now you can ask your fan base to travel to 2 games. It's a very simple process. But it does work in every other level of college football. There's nothing that tells me it can't happen here. And now you have to win 3 games. And just like in the professional level, you've got to win a few more than just 2. And it's not saying you're not getting lucky, but to win 3, you really know who the best team is. Attrition is important. Injuries would then matter. And yes, I do agree with you. Players would play in these games. But 16 teams, you're adding an unnecessary game of teams that really aren't good enough to win a national championship. 8 would be perfect.
Okay, let's hone in on the difference between 8 and 16. First of all, you're probably right that a 14, 15, 16 seed can't win the national championship. Probably I would bet with you on every one of those games. My only issue is I like to see the game played on the field. I'm not really interested in appointing Jonathan Coachman, the designee dictator of college football, about who gets a shot and who doesn't at the national championship. I'd much rather, no matter how right you might be, actually see the game played out.
It's not basketball.
I'd rather actually see Western Michigan lose than have you tell me they're going to lose.
But
That's what I'd
you want
rather
to ask
see.
Alabama to play a game that they're going to win not 10 out of 10 times and risk more injuries, to risk the next game not being as good, when Western Michigan, and we love them.
Yes, but here's the trick in this debate.
Please.
You do too. You agree with me.
No, I don't want to see that. No, I don't want to see
60 seconds ago, one of the arguments you made about an 18 playoff was you had to win 3 games, that you had to survive attrition. 3 games, excuse me, that you had to survive attrition. That's not an argument for 16? That's not the same argument. You just told me you don't want Alabama to play.
You have to win 4. It's an unnecessary game of attrition. 3 is a bigger difference than 2.
Attrition's a problem in my argument, but a bonus in yours?
3. You add one more game, it's a big deal. Right now, they don't have to think about that.
The argument isn't about whether or not Western Michigan.
You're playing an unnecessary
game. The argument
game.
isn't about whether Western Michigan can win the national championship. It's highly improbable. The argument is whether or not Western Michigan can upset Alabama. Also highly improbable. That's why we play the game. That upset is fun. And it requires Alabama, it requires Alabama to win several games and do exactly what Jonathan Coachman told me was a benefit. Survive attrition, win 3 games, play with backups. These are things that aid my argument. You have agreed with me and don't know it.
You know why college football plays 13 or 14 games and college basketball plays 30 to 35? It's a different game.
Totally
in March Madness, yes, in March Madness, you can have 16 against 1, and let's see what happens. But in college football, 16 against 1, not only is it unnecessary, it's probably going to be a 30-point blowout, and it's just unnecessary at that point. 8 would be perfect. Because guess what? This year, you'd have Michigan. You'd have Penn State. You'd have USC. Are you kidding me right now?
I feel like if they did 16, the only way they could do that is take a couple games off the regular season, or at least 1 game, because that's just
Which I wouldn't want to do.
The thing that 16 solves, that 8 does not solve, is the idea that everyone truly has a chance at the beginning of the season.
But they don't.
But
they do not.
You're absolutely right.
They don't.
I just don't want to hear you say it. I want to see the game. I'm just not comfortable with Jonathan Coachman as the leader of college football telling us how the games will turn out.
You haven't been comfortable with me being right all week, but it continues to happen.
Do you want to see what the fan base is for the Jonathan Coachman league?
Oh, it's so big. It's so big.
Oh, it's so good. You know what? It's our last show of the year, and we want to know from you what the sports story of 2016 was. Cubs, Cavs, Ali, the Cowboys. Will, yes, we know he's going to vote. Vote on Twitter, and we will reveal the results, plus our own choices, later in the show. A birthday shared by 2 titans in the sports world, but who has had the better career so far, LeBron or Tiger? Will and Coach are not seeing eye to eye here. Surprise, surprise. And up next, the EA Sports has sent us their official simulation of Nunes and Rousey at UFC 207. See who wins and if the guys agree.